Ford F-Series.
The F-Series is a series of full-size pickup trucks from the Ford Motor Company which has been sold continuously for over 6 decades. The most popular variant of the F-Series is the F-150. It has been the best-selling vehicle in the United States for the past 32 years, and the best-selling pickup for 43 years, and the best-selling vehicle in Canada, though this does not always include combined sales of GM pickup trucks. In the 10th generation of the F-Series, the F-250 and F-350 changed body style in 1998 and joined the Super Duty series. During the post-World War II era, smaller Canadian villages had access to either a Ford dealer or a Lincoln Mercury Meteor dealer, but not both. A Mercury-badged version was sold at Lincoln Mercury Meteor dealers there from 1946-68. Other than the grilles, trim, and badging, these pickups were identical to their Ford counterparts. As of 2014, the Ford F-150 is sold in the United States, Canada, Mexico, most Caribbean countries, except Trinidad and Tobago, St. Kitts and Nevis, and Cuba, Suriname, Ecuador, Peru, Chile, the Middle East, Iceland, Dutch territories of Aruba, Curacao, and Saint Martin, and British Territory Cayman Islands, while the SVT Raptor is sold in the United States, Canada, Mexico, the Middle East, Ecuador, Chile and Peru. Both are available in LHD only. The Ford logo is also called the rebadged version of the Ford F-150 in Mexico.
First generation 1948-52.
The first generation F-Series pickup, known as the Ford Bonus Built, was introduced in 1948 as a replacement for the previous car-based pickup line introduced in 1942. The F-Series was sold in 8 different weight ratings, with pickup, panel truck, cab over engine, COE, conventional truck, and school bus chassis body styles.
Second generation 1953-56.
The second generation F-Series was introduced in 1953. The F-1 became the F-100 because of the popular culture influence of the North American F-100 Super Sabre, the first supersonic fighter, first flight 1953. Increased dimensions, improved engines, and an improved chassis were features of the second generation. Additionally, the pickups were given their now familiar names. The F-1 became the F-100, the F-2 and F-3 became the F-250, and the F-4 became the one-ton F-350.
Third generation 1957-60.
Introduced in 1957, the third generation F-Series was a significant modernization and redesign. Front wings became integrated into the body, and the style side bed continued the smooth lines to the rear of the pickup. The cab-over F-Series was discontinued, having been replaced by the tilt cab C-Series. In 1959, Ford began in-house production of four-wheel drive pickups.
Fourth generation 1961-66.
Ford introduced a dramatically new style of pickup in 1961 with the fourth generation F-Series. Longer and lower than the previous pickups, these trucks had increased dimensions and new engine and gearbox choices. Additionally, the 1961-1963 models were constructed as a unibody design with the cab and bed integrated. This proved unpopular and the F-Series reverted to a traditional separate cab bed design in 1964. In 1965 the F-Series was given a significant mid-cycle redesign. A completely new platform, including the twin I-beam front suspension, was introduced that would be used until 1979. Additionally that year, the Ranger name made its first appearance on a Ford pickup. Previously a base model of the Edsel, it was now used to denote a high-level styling package for F-Series pickups.
Fifth generation 1967-72.
Introduced in 1967, the fifth generation F-Series pickup was built on the same platform as the 1965 revision of the fourth generation. Dimensions and greenhouse glass were increased, engine options expanded, and plusher trim levels became available during the fifth-generation pickup's production run. Suspension components from all 1969 F-Series models are completely interchangeable. A variant of the fifth-generation F-Series was produced until 1992 in Brazil for the South American market.
Sixth generation 1973-79.
The sixth-generation F-Series was introduced in 1973. This version of the F-Series continued to be built on the 1965 fourth generation's revised platform, but with significant modernizations and refinements. Front disc brakes, increased cabin dimensions, gas tank relocated outside the cab and under the bed, significantly improved heating and air conditioning, full double-wall bed construction, increased use of galvanized steel. Super cab was introduced in the sixth-generation pickup. The FE engine series was discontinued in 1976 after a nearly 20-year run, replaced by the more modern 335 series, modified, and 385 series engines. In 1975, the F-150 was introduced in between the F-100 and the F-250 in order to avoid certain emission control restrictions. For 1978, the Ford Bronco was redesigned into a variant of the F-Series pickup. 1979 was the last year that the 460 was available in a half-ton truck.
Seventh generation 1980-86.
The 1980 F-Series was redesigned with an all-new chassis and larger body. This was the first ground-up redesign since 1965. The exterior styling of the truck was redone to improve aerodynamics and fuel economy. Medium-duty F-Series, F600 F900, were also redesigned. Although they shared the cabin of the smaller pickup trucks, the largest version of F-Series now wore a bonnet with separate front wings, like the L-Series. Medium-duty Ford F-Series would carry the 1980-86 interior design until 2000, though pickups were restyled again in 1987 and 1992, with very subtle changes such as window glass and electronics. In a move towards fuel efficiency, Ford dropped the M-Series engines, 5.8L, 351M and 6.6L, 400 CI V8s, in 1981 and added the 4.2L, 255 CI and 5.8L, 351 CI Windsor V8 engines from the Panther platform. The 255 V8 was simply a 5.0L, 302 V8 with a smaller bore, built specifically for better fuel economy, but was dropped for the 1982 model year due to being underpowered and having limited demand. For 1982 and 1983, the 3.8L, 230 CI Essex V6 was the base engine but was quickly dropped for the 1984 model year. In 1983, Ford added diesel power to the F-Series through a partnership with International Harvester, later Navistar. The 6.9L, 420 CI IDI V8 produced similar power output as the gasoline 351 Windsor V8, with the fuel economy of the 4.9L, 300 I6. 1985 was the first year of electronic fuel injection on the 5.0L V8, all other engines following suit in 1988. There was a new high-output version of the 5.8L Windsor beginning in 1984. A noticeable change was made to the F-Series in 1982 as the Ford Blue Oval was added to the center of the grille, also the Ranger and custom trims were no longer available. The Ranger name had been shifted onto the all-new compact pickup developed as a replacement for the Courier. The new trim levels were a no-badge base model, essentially the new Custom, XL, a very rare XLS, and XLT Lariat. 1983 marked the final year of the F-100, making the F-150 the lightest pickup available on the market. F-100s and F-150s were virtually identical with the exception of smaller brakes and a 5x 4.5 bolt pattern on the F-100 axles, as opposed to 5x 5.5 on the F-150. F-100s over a certain GVW and/or without power brakes did use the F-150 axles. Also, the 1980-83 F-100 was never offered with four-wheel drive. 1986 marked the final year that the F-150 was available with a 3-speed manual gearbox that shifted via a steering column lever, 3 on the tree. Incidentally, this was the second-last vehicle in the United States that offered this setup. 1986 was also the last year the Explorer package was available. This is the first generation of trucks to incorporate amenities such as power mirrors, power windows, and power door locks.
8th generation 1987-91.
Ford's 1987 F-Series carried over the same body style as the 7th generation, yet sported a new rounded front clip that improved aerodynamics, as well as the softening of body lines around the rear of the bed and fender arches around the wheel wells. The interior was also completely redesigned in 1987. The custom trim made a comeback for the 8th generation. In 1988, the 4.9L i6, 5.8L V8 and 7.5L, 460ci V8 gained electronic fuel injection. International Navistar also increased the displacement of their 6.9L V8 this year, resulting in the new 7.3L, 444ci IDI V8. This was also the first year of a 5-speed manual overdrive transmission, which included the Mazda M50D in the F-150s and the heavy-duty ZF5 in the F-250s and F-350s. 4-speed manuals were dropped after 1987. In 1990, the C6 3-speed automatic was replaced as the base automatic transmission with the E4OD, a 4-speed electronically controlled automatic overdrive unit, available at the very end of the 1989 production year, but announced for 1990, though the C6 was still available as an option, mostly in F-250s and F-350s, until 1997.
9th generation 1992-96.
The 1992 F-Series underwent another minor cosmetic update for the 1992 model year. Again, an updated front clip focused on increasing its aerodynamics. The update also brought the F-Series in line with the Ranger and Explorer stylistically. The interior was also, once again, redesigned at this time. One major interior update included the addition of rear speakers. Supercab models of this generation are distinguished by single, instead of twin, side windows for the rear seat. Ford offered a 75th anniversary package on its 1992 F-Series, consisting of a stripe package, an argent-colored step bumper, and special 75th anniversary logos. The XLT Lariat name was shortened to simply XLT in 1992, and Ford's base truck once again lost its custom tag and became the XL. Dormant since 1987, the flare sidebed also returned for 1992. Instead of the traditional pickup bed seen before, the new flare side borrowed much of its rear bodywork from the dual rear-wheel F-350. The first SVT Lightning truck entered the scene in 1993. It featured a 5.8L engine with performance GT 40-cylinder heads, found on this era 5.0 Mustang Cobra, cam, pistons, intake, also found on the 5.0 HO Mustang, however rebranded Lightning instead of 5.0 HO, headers, dual exhaust, oil cooler and modified engine computer programming. The truck was available with a reprogrammed E4OD automatic transmission with an auxiliary cooler. The rear axle was a limited slip unit with 4.101 gearing. Ford added a high-mount third brake light to the rear of 1994 truck cab roofs. More safety-related moves this year included a security package with remote keyless entry and intrusion alarm. Also, driver airbag was standard on the F-150 for the first time. In 1995, the medium-duty trucks received their first exterior update since 1980. This integrated the indicators and grille. Also in 1995, Ford gave the F-Series top trim level an upwards bump by adding the more plush Eddie Bauer Edition, previously only available on Bronco since 1985. Supercab models were fitted with a new 40/20/40 split bench bucket seat. The previous 50/50 split jump seats disappeared. The F-Series changed very little for the 1996 model year. for this was the last year before a major redesign. The F250 HD and F350, however, would remain unchanged through the 1997 model year. Starting in 1994.5, Ford manufactured the F250 and F350 models not only with gasoline-driven engine but with new redesigned diesel engines. Prior to 1994.5, Ford placed a 7.3-liter diesel engine in most of their heavy-duty trucks. The 7.3-liter diesel was manufactured by the international company also known as Navistar. Prior to 1994.5, all of International 7.3 diesel had an indirect injection fuel system and typically did not come with a turbo. In 1994.5, International upgraded the 7.3 diesel and added a direct injection fuel system, larger single-shot injectors, turbo, and newly designed push rods. Ford named the new diesel engine the Powerstroke diesel. The new Powerstroke diesel brought better performance, power, and towing capacity in Ford trucks. The 7.3 Powerstroke diesel lasted until 2003 May when the newly designed 6.0 Powerstroke diesel took over. In 1999, a intercooler and different materialized piston rods were manufactured in all Powerstroke diesel engines.
10th generation 1997 to 2003.
Introduced in late of 1996, the 1997 F-150 was redesigned from the ground up for the first time since 1980. Rounded styling allowed for improved aerodynamics, a larger interior, and improved fuel economy. Sharing a V6 engine with the Taurus Windstar and a V8 engine with the Crown Victoria, the F-150 received an all-new engine lineup. To improve rear seat access, a third door was added to supercab models. In 1999, supercabs became 4 doors. For 2001, the Super Crew cab was added. It combined the larger seat of a crew cab with a slightly shortened rear cargo bed. This generation of the F-Series marked the split of the F-150 from heavier-duty pickups. For 1997, all F-150s and lighter payload F-250s used the new chassis, while heavy payload F-250s and larger trucks remained on the existing platform. For 1998, only the F-150 and F-250 LD were produced. In 1999, the F-250 LD was dropped, and a new line was introduced, the Ford Super Duty. Super Duty models ranged from the F-250 through the F-750. The F-250 through F-550, the latter being a chassis cab model, were Ford manufactured and intended to replace the F-250 through F-Super Duty, while the F-650 per Fahrenheit 750 was a joint venture with International, a replacement for the previous medium-duty trucks. For 2002, this version of the F-150 was sold by Lincoln Mercury dealers as the Lincoln Blackwood. The first Lincoln pickup, the Blackwood, was an F-150 Super Crew with Lincoln Navigator front bodywork and interior. Unlike most pickup trucks, the pickup bed was redesigned into a trunk with a power tonneau, deck lid, and a fully lined and finished bed. Also for 2001, the Super Crew could have the King Ranch trim level. It gives the truck two-tone paint: black, white, brown, and green with a beige lower paint. The King Ranch had real Texas cowhide leather made by King Ranch and bucket seats with a console in the back as an option.
11th generation 2004-08.
For the 2004 model year, the F-150 was redesigned on an all-new platform. Externally similar to its predecessor, the 11th generation wore sharper-edged styling. A major change was the adoption of the step driver's window from the Super Duty trucks. Regardless of cabin type, all F-150s were given 4 doors. In 2008, the Super Duty trucks were also given an all-new platform. While using the same bed and cabin as before, these are distinguished from their predecessors by an all-new interior and a much larger grille and headlamps. Previously available only as a chassis cab model, the F-450 now was available as a pickup directly from Ford. From 2005 to 2008, Lincoln Mercury dealers sold this version of the F-150 as the Lincoln Mark Lieutenant, replacing the Blackwood, The Mark LT had a useful bed in place of its predecessor's trunk, but it was not a success in the United States. This model was discontinued in 2008.
12th generation 2009-14.
The current generation F-150 was introduced for the 2008 model year as a major update of the Ford full-size truck platform. These trucks are distinguished by their Super Duty-style grilles and headlamps. Standard cab models again have 2 doors instead of 4. The flare side bed was dropped along with a manual gearbox. Outside of Mexico, the Lincoln Mark LT was replaced by the F-150 Platinum. A new model for 2010 included the SVT Raptor, a dedicated off-road pickup. As part of a major focus on fuel economy, the entire engine lineup for the F-150, excluding the SVT Raptor, was updated for the 2011 model year. Along with 2 new V8 engines, the F-150 gained a new 3.7-litre base V6 engine, and a powerful twin-turbocharged 3.5-litre V6, dubbed ECO Boost by Ford. The automatic gearbox is the only option. Other modifications include the addition of an exterior automotive electric power steering, EPS, system on most models. Current engine options, North America as of October 20, 2013.
13th generation 2015 present.
Unveiled at the 2014 North American International Auto Show on January 13, 2014, the all-new F-150 derives much of its exterior styling from the 2013 Ford Atlas concept vehicle. In an effort to increase fuel economy, the 2015 model reduces its curb weight by up to 750 pounds through the extensive use of aluminum in the body structure and high-strength steel in the frame. The only major component of sheet metal not made from aluminum is the quiet steel sound-absorbing firewall. Retaining the use of body-on-frame construction, the frame is constructed with 77% high-strength steel, up from 23%. To showcase the durability of the aluminum-intensive design, Ford entered disguised prototypes of the model in the Barger 1000, which it completed. Some of the powertrain lineup is carried over from the 2014 F-150, but a new, 3.5L V6 replaces the 3.7L V6 as the base engine, joined by the 3.5L ECO Boost V6 and a 5.0L V8. Also new for the 2015 model is a 2.7L ECO Boost V6, slotted above the naturally aspirated 3.5L V6. Ford has not released output ratings for this engine.
Special models. SVT Lightning. First generation.
The SVT Lightning is a sports performance version of the F-150, released by Ford's Special Vehicle Team, SVT, division. Introduced for the 1993 model year, the SVT Lightning competed against the Chevrolet Sport, primarily as an effort to enhance the sporty, personal use image of the Ford F-Series pickup. Powered by a 240 horsepower 5.8-litre V8, the Lightning shared its basic structure with the F-150, but many modifications were made to the suspension and the frame to improve the handling. Production was 11,563 SVT Lightnings between 1993 to 1995.
Second generation.
In 1999, after a 3-year hiatus, Ford SVT unveiled a new Ford Lightning. Much like its predecessor, it was based on the F-150 with substantial suspension modifications. Although the Lightning shared its 5.4-litre V8 with a standard F-150, it now used a supercharger, producing 360 horsepower, 380 after 2001. To handle the extra power, the 4-speed automatic gearbox was borrowed from Ford's V10/diesel Super Duty pickups. SVT Lightnings produced between 1999 and 2004 numbered 28,124, when it was discontinued.
HarleyDavidson Edition.
In 2000, Ford released the first Harley-Davidson Edition F-150. It was available in a super cab with a standard length bed. For 2001, the Harley-Davidson Edition was moved to the Super Crew F-150. In 2002, Ford opted to further specialize the Harley-Davidson Edition by adding the supercharged engine from the SVT Lightning, with a slightly larger pulley to reduce boost by 2 pounds. To coincide with Harley-Davidson's centenary, the 2003 edition added the requisite 100th anniversary badging. These were available on Super Crew F-150s with the supercharged 5.4-litre V8. For the 2004-09 F-150, the Harley-Davidson Edition became mainly an appearance package. Its availability was expanded to the F-250 and F-350 Super Duty series. On February 10, 2008 at the St. Louis Auto Show, the latest version of the Harley-Davidson F-150 was introduced. Adopting many luxury features of the Platinum Edition, this Harley went one step further by providing leather seating surfaces derived from authentic Harley biker jacket materials, as well as the requisite exhaust tones and power to reach a top speed of 115 miles per hour, 185 kilometers per hour. In 2013 Ford discontinued the Harley-Davidson Edition and replaced it with the limited edition
SVT Raptor.
For the 2010 model year, Ford introduced the SVT Raptor model of the F-150. Intended for dedicated off-road use, the Raptor has a number of modifications to improve its off-road ability. It includes a full set of FOX shocks with 11.2 inches of front suspension travel and 12.1 of rear travel. It wears a wider body and wings than the standard F-Series truck. In a departure from the F-150, the Raptor wears no blue oval Ford emblem on its grille, for the first time since 1982. Instead, the grille has Ford spelled out in the center. In 2011, a full four-door Super Crew lift kit model was added to the standard 4+ four-door Super Cab model. The Raptor is powered by a 411 horsepower 6.2-litre V8, shared with the Ford Super Duty. A 5.4-litre V8 was available for the 2010 model year. It is paired with a 6-speed automatic gearbox.
F-150 Platinum.
Ford ceased sales of the Lincoln Mark LT in the United States and Canada after the 2008 model year. In its place beginning in the 2010 model year, Ford created an upper-end trim of the 2009 F-150 called F-150 Platinum. Due to its continuing popularity there, the Platinum is rebadged as the Lincoln Mark LT in Mexico.
Motorsports.
In 2008, Ford announced its entrance into the Barger 1000 Class 8 race for moderately modified, full-size pickups. The driver of record was Steve Oligos, supported by co-drivers Randy Merritt, Greg Fors, and Bud Brautzman. The vehicle was built with collaboration between the Ford Special Vehicle Team, SVT, Ford Racing, and Fors Motorsports, Incorporated. The Ford F-150 SVT Raptor completed the 2008 41st Decade Score Barger 1000 race in 25.2810, and ranked third in its class. In the Best in the Desert race series, an F-150 SVT Raptor completed the Terribles 250 race, placing second overall in the Class 8000. In January 2010, a single Raptor SVT, number 439, driven by Chilean driver Javier Campilé, competed in the Argentina-Chile Dakar Rally. However, the pickup was unable to finish due to a catch-up crash with another car in the middle of the road during Stage 7. In January 2011, two Raptors started in the Argentina-Chile Dakar Rally in Buenos Aires, with Campilé driving the more reliable Raptor, number 375, and American female driver Sue Mead driving a T2 Raptor, number 374. Mead crossed the finish line in Buenos Aires and won the Super Production class, the first North American class win in Dakar history. Campilé was unable to finish the 12th stage after losing time due to mechanical failure during the 11th stage, which led to his disqualification for failing to reach the race camp by the designated deadline.
Awards and recognition.
The Ford F-150 has won numerous awards. In 2009 alone, it received Motor Trend 2009 Pickup of the Year Award, 2009 Best Redesigned Vehicle from Kelley Blue Books KBB.com, top honors as Truck of Texas as well as Best Luxury Pickup for the 2009 F-150 King Ranch from Texas Auto Writers Association, Best Overall Half-Ton Pickup from PickupTrucks.com, Automotive Excellence Award in the Workhorse category from Popular Mechanics. Top Safety Pick from the Insurance Institute for Highway Safety for its standard safety technology, safety canopy side curtain airbags and advanced track with roll stability control. Residual Value Award from Automotive Leasing Guide, ALG, for retaining the highest percentage of its original price among 2009 full-size light-duty pickups at the end of a conventional 3-year lease, based on ALG projections. Motor Trend's Truck Trend Top 5 Pickups from Specialty Equipment Market Association, SEMA, for 2009 Ford F-150 Heavy Duty Award Contractor Concept, Accessory Friendly Pickup Design Award from SEMA.
Other notes.
Ford also manufactures F-Series medium and heavy-duty pickups alongside the F-150, F-250, and F-350s, F-450, F-550, F-650, F-750 Super Duty trucks. Prior to 1998 in the United States, there were a number of variants sold alongside the F-Series. B-Series, 1948 to 1998, school bus chassis based on medium-duty F-Series. Econoline E-Series, 1975 to 2014, mechanically related to F-Series. P-Series, parcel delivery van chassis. An F8000 was also produced based on the Ford Cargo Cab Overrange, which was similar to the 2006 and newer Ford LCF, low cab Ford. While previously a unique platform, after their 1975 redesign, the Econoline E-Series vans have maintained strong similarity with the F-Series pickup trucks, although it is now only mechanically true, as the latter has now undergone a number of redesigns since the last update of the vans in 1992. Medium-duty variants of the F-Series have their own chassis, sharing only the cab with lower GVWR models. The current generation of F650 per Fahrenheit 750 Super Duty models combine the Ford Super Duty cab with a chassis shared with the International Durastar line of trucks. Right-hand drive versions of the F-Series, for the United Kingdom and Australia, are manufactured in Brazil. In Argentina and Brazil, the petrol engines are often converted to also run with alternative fuels, E96H, Brazilian spec ethanol, and liquid petroleum gas, LPG. Biodiesel also is used in diesel engines.